Well, today we have Robbie discussing his case with his pseudo lawyer, Mark Stevens. So enjoy it, sit back, and have a laugh.
Oh, yeah. This is yeah. I'm glad that he's calling the show. He's going to be on the show again. If you go back on markstevens.net a couple of weeks ago, we had Robbie in Portland on talking about his TSA misadventure, and he went in for his 10th, I think, at the 10th or 11th arraignment this past week. So he's going to give us an update on what happened. Robbie, welcome back to the No State Project.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Well,
I had my 11th arraignment attempt on Wednesday,
so it was the 11th.
and it was with Judge Angel Lopez or Angel Lopez, and uh, he held me in contempt because I was asking the question about applicability of the code, and then he said, "I'll reconsider if you please." So he took a recess, and they handed me like this the plea form, the guilty plea form, which has all sorts of confessions and things that I would have to lie in order to plead guilty. And then when he came back, I asked, "Will you reconsider if I plead not guilty?" And he kind of shook his head and grimaced, and I said, okay, I'll plead guilty. And then he said he wouldn't take the plea, and he had them arrest me for contempt. Um, so I spent one night in jail, and then came back the next day in front of him, and I guess a bunch of people had called in, and Joe from Cop Watch Hawaii was one of the people that called the courthouse and left the message. And
Yeah.
so I come in the next morning, and he's like, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what to do. Like, how can I be able to actually speak about the things that I need to bring up, in the courtroom, because this judge would never let me speak. He kept interrupting me. So I asked if we could speak off the record, with him, me, and the prosecutor. And he said, "No, I want you to listen to this." He played Joe's message, which all it really said was, there's a bunch of us who are going to collectively work to file complaints with the Judicial Commission, and we want to see you in prison for the crimes that you're committing, and forever your name will be Googleable. It'll be searchable on Google, and your family will always know what you've done. And the judge tried to say that that was a threat. He released me from contempt, recused himself, and then because he said that he felt like he and his family were threatened, he remanded me into custody and held me in there on $20,000 bail after recusing himself.
Yeah,
So
I
fortunately,
heard Joe's call, and there was nothing in there that should be considered that any reasonable person could consider a threat to themselves or their family. I mean, I think and see, this is what gets me too about these people. They love acting in anonymity, and when you get their pictures and you have it so that when their family and I have direct evidence of this because I know for a fact, like with the IRS issue and Rudy Ogden, we have David Williams. I know for a fact that posting their pictures so that it comes up on Google is having an impact. They don't like it one bit. Although
nope.
Rudy Ogden at least said to me he didn't have a problem with me reporting he lied. He just said I should have been honest myself and not cherry picked, which I didn't cherry pick. But good on him for at least knowing that that's a logical fallacy. I want to go through this because the fact that he is threatening you with contempt and then is going to give you an option to enter a plea or contempt. So it looks to me that any plea that you would have given if he allowed it would have been under threat, duress, and coercion. So do you want to sit in jail or do you want to enter a plea? I,
Yep,
that
exactly.
that right there, it should be enough, according to their sacred writ, to have him put in jail. That alone, either you plea or you're going to jail. Whoa. And how is that fair again? Really? Plea or go to jail?
Yep.
See, and that's the thing, by their own sacred writ, every plea, whether it's no contest, guilty or not guilty, every single plea must be voluntary and intelligent. Every single one. That's what it says. That's what, the rules are pretty consistent there. They even ask you when you're pleading guilty, has anyone coerced you in any way? I'm like, yeah, you did?
Yeah.
I was like, are you such a damn narcissist that you don't even recognize that when you threaten me, it is an actual threat? I have to quote Suzanne Small again here. So real quick, let me get this quote in. It's not threat, duress, and coercion when we do it. That's a direct quote. Suzanne Small of the Franchise Tax Board Legal Department in Sacramento. It is not threat, duress, and coercion when we do it. Wow.
Insanity.
So the calls, particularly the one from Joe, that is what changed his mind. He was not even going to allow you to enter a plea. He was just going to hold you on because of the threat, the perceived threat.
Yep. Yeah, so because of that, I mean, he's saying, he's using it as an excuse. Of course, we know that these tyrants would find some way to punish people who challenge their authority. But he used the excuse of the so-called threatening phone call to recuse himself. And then, of course, he said, I can't accept the plea because I've recused myself. I can't hear any of your objections because I've recused myself. Yet he's willing to make punitive rulings on the case that he just recused himself from, which is ironic.
The $20,000 bail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And try to hold me in jail until December 27th, because originally the date was December 1st, and for some reason he used the excuse that the hearing has to be when he's out of town, because I guess the other however many dozen or more judges are there can't hear the hearing while he's in town for some reason. I don't know. It didn't make sense.
I guess he's trying to make it that he can't be in town because someone like Joe, who said that he was going to be Googled, is a threat to him and his family, so they shouldn't be in town because apparently you have cohorts who are willing to use violence. Now, he's got no evidence of this at all, of course, but that's my impression. That he has to get the hell out of town because you're going to have a gang of thugs, sort of like what he has, to do harm to him and his family. Come on. Angel Lopez, and I agree with Joe there. Everyone, when you Google Angel Lopez, should get an article and a video about what he did to you. It should be the top, at least on the first page of Google. And it's not like you're lying, and we know exactly. We're not the ones lying. We're saying this is what happened. He got a call from Joe in Hawaii and freaked out, as paranoid as these people seem to be, and I'm going to report on the internet what you've done, so that when your family Googles you, they'll see what you did. How the hell is that a physical threat to anybody? I mean, if a CNN reporter said we're going to report this, is he going to turn around and take his family out of the U.S. because CNN is a threat to their?
Yeah, and then he tries to tell me that I'm the one putting the court in a difficult position.
Yeah, excuse me, do you project much? I mean, bottom line here is even if you're a critic to the show, you have to look and accept, you should be able to accept the evidence here. And the evidence is that the only threats being issued are from him. Do you want to enter a plea or do I hold you in contempt? That's a threat. holding you under threat of death, which is, because he can issue a warrant for your arrest if you don't participate. That's being violent. He is forcing you so far 11 times to participate under threat of death, or at least threat of jail. If you do not participate in these proceedings, I will have you put in jail. He's the one that's exercising the aggression and threats of violence, and then he turns it around on you. See, this is classic psychological manipulation. This is no damn different than a husband balling up his fist, punching his wife in the face, and turning around saying, "You're the one who caused this."
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, Angel Lopez, is actually worse than a damn wife beater or someone who's abusing their spouse. Because this bastard actually believes he has a right to do that. He has a moral right to do this to you. Where I doubt the abusing spouse would turn around and say, "I have every right to hit them." Yeah, they'll say that in private when they're beating the hell out of someone when they're bullying them. They're going to say that on 6 o'clock news? "I have every right to beat my spouse." Oh, please. So that's what this guy's doing. This is classic psychological manipulation. It's the victim's fault. Hey, she shouldn't have worn that dress there, tough guy. She shouldn't have drank so much. She was looking for it. Oh, please.
Yep.
Get a moral compass, you narcissistic. Oh, sorry. There's a lot we have here. There's a lot we have here on Angel, and we don't even have to do a motion to disqualify him because he got off. He took himself off the case already.
Yep.
So
yeah, the question is how to get any judge to hear rational arguments or actually take seriously the motions when this is a high profile judge. He's been involved with the Commission on Judicial Fitness. So he's sort of high ranking, and it's like everybody respects him. And even the guard, as they were taking me back to my jail, they said, "He's such a nice judge. I can't believe that you're threatening him." And it's like they're completely delusional.
That reminds me, I saw Twisted Sister back in Long Island when I was a kid. And there's a point to this, trust me. It was the first rock concert, heavy metal concert I ever went to. And Dee Snider used to do these speeches when they played live. At least they did back then. So anybody who remembers 2002 roller skating rink in Sayville, Long Island, that's what I'm talking about. And he did this one rant where after somebody goes ahead and just kills a bunch of people, like Jeffrey Dahmer did, or what's his name, John Wayne Gacy. And everyone around says, "He was such a nice guy. He was so quiet." And Dee would say, "Well, F being quiet." Hey, if there's anybody who's at one of those early Twisted Sister shows, you gotta contact me at markstevens.net. And so that's the same thing we're hearing here. They are a part of the abuse system. They are the ones who are carrying out the abuse. They look up to him as an authority figure. If they were to question the morality of what he was doing, then that would be directly questioning then what they're doing, because they're just carrying out his orders. So if Angel Lopez is a immoral degenerate because of what he's doing to you, then they are, by their collusion and carrying out his orders, immoral degenerates.
Yep.
So what was his body language like? I mean, I heard the recording, but what did he look like?
Yeah. So during the call, or during the call from Joe when he was playing it, he was just looking right at me, like right in my eyes the whole time, and I didn't want to give him any satisfaction. I didn't want to show anything. So I just looked down. I met his eyes once and then looked down, but he was just watching for a reaction from me. And then afterward, it was like the whole disappointed father kind of thing. Like, you put me in a tough spot. You know, you've really made this difficult for the court. And, you know, he was just looking at me like a disappointed father, you know, if his son wasn't getting high enough grades or something would, and just basically acting like, you know, his hands were tied. It was all my fault. I was the one that carried out this threat somehow. He tried to say that I prompted it. Well, he inferred that I prompted it because I made a phone call in the middle of the hearing when he took a recess. And yeah, just that. I knew something was up, like just because his body language was different somehow. It was like there was more focus on him on me and trying to get me to feel like I had done something wrong.
Right.
And a part of me wanted to believe him, you know.
Well, of course.
Like,
that's a natural thing. That's a part of psychological manipulation. It's a guilt trip. You're making me do this. It's like that thing. This is going to hurt me an awful lot more than it's going to hurt you. Fungal. What are you? I'm not 3 years old anymore. This guy is a classic. I mean, that, again, it's classic psychological manipulation from a bully. And it's only because there's a shred of decency left in him to recognize that what he's doing is wrong that he has to shift the guilt to you. Now, you can end this right now because 11 times this man has asked for the prosecution's evidence to prove their claim is true. 11 damn time proceedings we've gone through. We've done it in writing. We have a discovery request, a Brady request he's required to comply with. You had every opportunity throughout these 11 proceedings to do the right thing. And the nerve of trying to shift the blame and put a guilt trip on you and take advantage of your empathy, your wanting to do things in good faith. This guy's a slime ball. And I have no evidence of this. But if you are treating a perfect stranger like that and using those basic manipulative, tactics, you're going to tell me that doesn't follow him into his private life? I mean, I did have somebody here, and I'm going to say the name, Robbie Allen. And he was one of these narcissist judges out here in Mesa, Arizona. And I knew the guy who did his appliances. And he told me, you've got to see this guy at home. He is unhinged. He is screaming at everybody. He is the only difference is he doesn't really scream in court because that really is bad. But when he's home, the guy is off the charts crazy. And that's it. You can look up Robin Allen is a judge in the Mesa Municipal Court. And I've gone toe-to-toe with this guy a number of times. And I can tell you, he is definitely emotionally unstable. The guy does not have adult coping skills. This guy's adult coping skills aren't bad. I mean, he wasn't yelling and screaming. I heard that. He's just a manipulative narcissist. And if anyone thinks I'm getting it wrong and he was using a standard manipulation tactic, 218-632-9399 or Skype me and I am at Frank Rizzo 3. We'll pull you on the air with Robbie right now. And because you just gave us a big clue there, a big fact that we have to consider here. You are actually feeling guilty.
Oh yeah, I was feeling like it was overwhelming, and I don't know if it was a combination of already having been in jail. My mind was all groggy and stuff, and it was hard for me to focus like I normally can. But yeah, he was actually making me feel like, well, did I do something wrong? And I've listened to the recording since getting out of jail, and there's nothing that I've done wrong. It's very clear, but in the moment it was like I just felt like I was in chains for one. I had all these people looking down on me. Just a completely silent courtroom because nobody there had ever seen this happen before. But yeah, I felt like, because I take on kind of what other people feel toward me, and I kind of take that onto myself as a general rule. So I felt guilty, and it's clear to me now that I was manipulated. It was a form of psychological torture.
Oh, the fact that he's holding jail over your head, that, psychological torture. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the show how they are holding someone's life in their hands. I mean, that, the only way that I would consider holding somebody against their will is if they were being violent and they had initiated violence, and that was the only way to stop them. The only way to neutralize his threat is to physically restrain him. Mm-hmm. You are not doing anything like that. Even if we give this manipulative narcissist, for sake of argument, the benefit of, all right, man, this guy just will not let go of the jurisdiction issue. He just won't let go. What are your options? Do you have to throw the guy in jail? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Do you throw the guy in jail because you don't like his defense? That's where, no. Even giving him the benefit, there are other options. Hey, how about this? How about recuse yourself because you're a little sick and tired of dealing with this guy, and it's actually starting to cloud your judgment, that you can't be fair because you dislike the man so much. How about that? Oh, that's right. Yep. Judges can do that. And we know this judge can do it. And I think the fact that this manipulative SOB, and I think this is part of what he was doing to you psychologically too, to actually try to make a case against you that what Joe was saying was not only a threat to him and his family, but directed by you. So that you can now sit in jail wondering, oh my gosh, they're going to have a grand jury indict me for threatening a judge. How the hell can I get a fair trial if they actually do something like that? So did that have come on, that had an impact on me. And I'm sitting here safe in a fortified compound. When they told me, and I heard that, and we think he's bluffing there, but we don't know. You don't know. So did that have an impact on you when you're sitting in their cage for those couple days?
Absolutely. It not only had an impact on me while I was in there, but even knowing that I was going to be bailed out, I felt like they were going to try to use it to keep me in there, or that now that I've been bailed out, like they're going to just file some kind of a BS charge and, have people come and arrest me for that charge just to try to keep me in there. Like that fear has not still entirely gone away, even though it was worse when I first got out, but it's diminished now that I've seen the issue with more clarity. But it's still a fear. Definitely played a factor.
My gosh, I tell you that is awful. So I imagine some people, especially critics, would ask, and I can ask this myself. In retrospect, what this Angel Lopez did to you and how he manipulated you and used such aggression against you, was it worth it, and would you do it again?
As long as people can see what is going on with the judicial system, as long as people can see what kinds of criminals these people really are, then I would do it again. If all of this happens and it ends up being for no reason and they end up winning and, throwing me in prison on some crazy thing that they make up, or murder me somehow for some reason, and everyone just kind of forgets about it, then of course not. But my goal is to be able to show everyone what happens when a perfectly calm and rational person just goes in and asks this very basic question regarding jurisdiction. And, someone who, I'm not a criminal by nature. I'm not aggressive by nature. I'm nonviolent, and I haven't done anything besides driving without licenses back when I was younger.
Oh no.
And so when if people can see what is going on, and if people can help change what is going on, then it'll all have been worth it to me.
So Robbie, let's talk about what we need to do to to work with you to help get this cleaned up. I know we had been talked about a habeas corpus, but thank goodness you were. And I want to go. I gotta I want to thank everybody who came to the table here and stepped up and helped you get out. I really appreciate that. It means a lot that we're able to do something on the show here, and that we don't have the biggest audience. I'm really disappointed at the guys listening live today. I mean, come on, guy. Really? Just because it's Thanksgiving? Come on. But not only have we been able to, through the chat, help people prep for court, and we have people show up as media reps, but Robbie was a victim big time here, and people, I didn't even know. My whole thing, well, let's do a habeas corpus. But Joe and the guys got together and stepped to the Playboy and pulled some resources and helped you get out. And so I really appreciate everyone stepping up and doing that. It means a lot because it shows that the work we're doing here it's not having the biggest impact, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have an impact and help people. And so to have people pulled together, it means the No State Project, there's purpose there, and we're seeing that carried out. So thank you to everyone who helped with that. I hope it doesn't have to happen again. So what do we need to do? What are we looking at in getting this thing finally tossed out?
Well, I'm definitely going to be filing a claim with the risk management for state of Oregon, and hopefully they'll relax some of the pressure at that point. I obviously have some motions which I'm going to have to write and file regarding the waiver of counsel and these, just each of these things that the judges have done, and just somehow have a way to get it all on the record so that hopefully the next judge will read through it and see, maybe we should just dismiss this. And
have the previous judges denied the motion to dismiss?
Yep. So yeah.
Did you file a reconsideration already?
No, I have not.
I would file that. I would get things started with filing that together with a motion to strike the orders that were made. And I'd file a separate motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. And get in there Lawrence Taylor. Don't say LT, guys. That's even more offensive. More people know the football player is LT. So let's not confuse those. His name is Lawrence Taylor. He's an attorney in Oregon. And that you can use his statements to show he knows the prosecution is engaged in misconduct and thinks it's okay. Use his statements.
Yep.
He knows that you were getting treated unfairly, and he just let it happen.
Yeah, we're also reporting the judge to the Oregon State Judicial Commission, or Commission on Judicial Conduct, rather. Every state calls it something a little bit different, or something. They have a couple different names. Anyway, the point is, that's who I went to when I got the lawyer who screwed up with me sanctions. And so we're familiar with the complaint process. And the nice thing is because we've been paying so close attention to their reactions, we know that even if that doesn't actually result in a consequence, because obviously we're going to the judges to come down on judges, right? What sense does that make? Even though it may not result in, they want no part of having any kind of application with even their name on it. And that to them is just, oh crap, let's get away from there. We've seen nothing but people just dodge any part of this case, and when it comes to that kind of exposure. So that's two. And then also lastly, keep in mind, there's things that we have planned that we can't say, as far as strategies and legal strategies in response to what they're doing.
Well, I think what I mentioned, that's the way I would take it. Motions to strike the orders that were done already. Motion to reconsider the prior denial of the original motion, and a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. And name each
I like that
prosecutor.
reconsider. It might give them a way out. If they want one or they're looking for one, that could be one. New Judge Eric J. Bergstrom.
Well, it's also an opportunity to maybe get it set for a hearing. So get the 2 motions set for a hearing and get the prosecution in there. Look, I am willing to plead guilty, but I don't see the evidence. If the evidence isn't here, then the only logical, rational, and fair thing to do is grant the motions. But we're here. Does the prosecution have this evidence, yes or no?
The last time he did that, that's what led to contempt, and they would just threaten it again, and this time he's not going to be stomping on the gas, and we're back to square one. But I'm really glad it gives them an opportunity to again be have their noses rubbed in it again, and yet another opportunity for dismissal and try and save some face.
All right. Well, you don't have to get them. You don't have to get the motions calendared for a hearing. And if they deny them, then given the overall tone, what's happened so far, which has been horrible, you can use the denial to get it reviewed in the higher court and be able to maybe get a stay of proceedings and stop the trial court. So we've got a clear-cut case of prosecutorial misconduct and collusion with the judges. You can prove the judges are covering for the prosecution's lack of evidence. They don't have to prove that. You're making my case for me by saying they don't have to prove it. You're covering for their burden of proof, you jackass. So that's the step, Robbie, that I would take after that. So if you file the motions knowing at least this is my remedy that I have available if they just deny it. So, yeah, I think Joe's got a point about avoiding another trial, another hearing with these people. Maybe the next judge won't be like Angel Lopez, but you don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
You don't know what the hell's going on under those roads.
What do you think about interlocutory appeals here?
That's what a petition for writ is. So if you did a petition for writ of prohibition to review the denial of the motion to change judge, that would be considered an interlocutory writ, an interlocutory appeal, because you're stopping the trial court and reviewing it prior to a conviction. So
you said change judge. Did you mean dismiss the case? Because the judge is already changing. Maybe I misheard and got confused.
I'm sorry, because we usually use the motion, the petition for writ to review denial of a motion to change judge. The petition for writ of prohibition would be to review the denial of the motion to dismiss.
Right.
And before anyone makes, I know damn well the only way you can get an interlocutory appeal and get a petition for writ through is if you do not have a right of appeal right now. There is no right to appeal the denial of a motion to dismiss. You have to go through trial and first, and then you can appeal it. But because of that, you don't have the right of appeal when it's denied. You do have grounds for appellate jurisdiction to review that. That's okay. So that's what I would do, and so we'll see what happens with the motions. If they get denied, then you file your petition for a writ of prohibition to review the denials, and hopefully they take jurisdiction and stop the trial.